Welcome to Throwback Thursday. This episode features a conversation we had with the legendary YouTuber Darwin on the Trail. You'll get to know him in a different way and learn his top 3 lessons for creating the best adventure. Have a great week, everybody.
What's going on, everybody? This is Derek, and with me today is the only man to gnaw wood faster than a beaver when making a dam, Carl Mandrioli. Look at those chompers, everybody. How you doing, buddy? What's going on?
I'm doing great, my friend. With me today is Derek Somerville. He was a real backpacker until he went to Antarctica. That's when things went south.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised it's taking you this long to use something with Antarctica, but I guess there's a picture right there.
You like to bring up Antarctica a lot, and so I'm just trying to kind of play into your ego a little bit.
I don't feel like I brought it up for a while, but okay.
I beg to differ. Either way. So totally we got Darwin on the Trail, man. He's one of the big time legends in the YouTube backpacking community.
Legend. How do you become a legend in the backpacking community? Like, what do you need to do? Like, discover something? Like, find a new berry? Like, what do you need to do?
New berry.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good one.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I think duration and number of subscribers, videos, adventures. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay. Like, you kind of want to be a legend. Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, who doesn't want to be legendary? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm ahead of you in that. I don't know. I mean, where are we in that race? Are you like? Is it like?
It's not a race.
We're just like, you're older, so maybe you, but then I'm cooler, so maybe me. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We're partners, my friend. We're tied together. And
it's like a tag team race.
Yeah.
It's like a tag team.
Okay. And to answer your question, like, who doesn't want to be a legend? Like, you can make the case after listening to this interview that Darwin actually doesn't want to be the legend based on what he said.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's
that's
not
true.
for everybody, for sure. But I don't know.
I know.
People can interpret it their own way, and we'll find out.
Okay.
How they take this. But first we got a Bible verse, Matthew 4:19. Come follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people.
Fish for people.
Derek, when was the last time you were out fishing for people?
Fishing for people. It's been probably a while. Right.
It's been years.
Yeah, probably
decades.
Probably not decades, but years. Definitely years. I don't even remember the last time. So
all right.
You know, it's something you always want to be ready to do. But I think, I don't know. Do you usually do it at the grocery store when you have your backpack on? Is that when you do it?
Yeah, grocery store, Costco. Costco's a big fishing place.
Yeah.
For me. That's what I figured you'd say, to be honest. But,
like, what do you say? Like, hey, you know, I'm going to be on aisle 5 and Jesus might be there too?
That could definitely be.
Is that what you say?
That sounds like a fishing for people pickup line. A little awkward, to be honest. But
are you like, do you want love in bulk? You know, Jesus can do that. Costco can't.
Gosh.
I mean, I don't know. What do you say?
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that I have an announcement. I made this announcement last week in the tidbit section, and I got another announcement along those lines this week at the end of this episode. So if you want to find out, my friend, you're going to find out.
Gripping.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready for tidbits right now. But we got an interview. Let's check it out.
With me today is a man who has thru-hiked multiple long trails, a man who has his own gear company, a man who has a popular show called the Outdoor Evolution Podcast, a YouTuber with the most popular backpacking channel of all time. Please welcome Darwin from Darwin on the Trail. How's it going, sir?
How's it going, man? That was too nice. Too nice of an intro, I'd say. Way too nice.
We got to build it up.
I don't know if my podcast is that popular, like the most popular, but you know,
you had the most popular YouTube channel. Yeah, you can't compete with us.
I don't know. Did I have the most popular YouTube channel? I don't know about that. I like yours. I like your guys'. Your guys' thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to see more of the game shows that you guys have been working on.
Did you listen to the game show?
I watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't listen, I watched.
You did. Which, we were still working with YouTube and structuring that, but thank you for doing that. I don't think hardly anybody did. We didn't get as many hits on that one, so I don't know if we'll circle back, but unless you want to be a contestant, do you want to be like a celebrity guest on a game show?
Can I just be a regular guest? Do I have to be a celebrity guest?
We can call you regular.
Yeah.
We've got this celebrity, and Darwin.
I'll just come on as Nick. I won't come on as Darwin. I'll come on as Nick.
Incognito. And I want to share with you. So, some folks that listened to our show that found out that you were going to be interviewed. I had one person who's like, okay, whatever you do, like when you're not on the trail, you can't call him Darwin. And then I had another guy who said, like, whatever you do, you can't call him Nick. And I was like, all right, I don't I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna call him what he signs on as.
You can do either if you'd
Okay.
like. You can just kind of jump back and forth. No, actually, the whole Darwin thing, the reason that a lot of people didn't know my name for years is it just kind of became a running joke because like people would ask me like what my real name was, and I would always kind of not really answer it, be kind of suspicious about it because I thought it was funny. Because people would say like, "Oh, your parents named you Darwin," and I'm like, "No." But on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel for years, my real name was on there. There used to be a photo of my my AT finishing certificate. So it always like, I don't know if you've ever seen one, but it's like your first name, then your trail name, like in parentheses, and then your last name. That was on my Instagram for years. So I just kind of kept playing it on and letting people. I don't know. It just kind of turned into a reoccurring joke. Yeah. So then I guess like where I started hearing things like he doesn't like being called his real name. I'm like, no, I'm just.
But that's what's fun. So you created kind of like a lore around what is appropriate to call it.
Yeah. I like to screw with people. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. That answers that question. Okay. So speaking of your name, Backpacking Magazine has you ranked as the third most famous Darwin of all time.
Is that right?
So. Yeah, can you care to guess like the two that are ranked ahead of you?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess. I mean Charles Darwin, right? Like
first place. I mean,
that's kind of my namesake. That's kind of where it comes from. And then I'm gonna take a guess, and I'm gonna say the only reason I know this, I don't have kids, but the only reason I know this is I am an uncle to a couple kids. Is it Darwin, the character from the Gumball Adventures? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, fourth place. You're close.
Oh, is that right?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a trick because the second ranked is not technically a person. It says most famous Darwin, and so the second rank is the Darwin Awards. Oh. Are you familiar with those?
I am. Okay. Yeah.
Is that so? That's not how you got your trail name. Is the Darwin? Awards.
Is not. No.
You didn't earn one.
No, my namesake I guess is after Charles Darwin.
Because you're a fan of
his. I do a lot of
his?
air quotes, by the way. Get me on video. I'm just going to do this a lot.
For those listening on audio, he's doing a lot of air quotes. Every single word, literally.
I have to put in like sound effects, like.
All right, so you have a strong connection to Charles, and
not at all. I was on the AT in 2015, and I was at either first or second night on the trail, and we were at this shelter, and everybody's talking about two things. Everybody's talking about like what they did for a living. This one guy's telling us like he's a retired vet, and these kids are telling us that they just got out of college and all this stuff. And they asked me what I did for a living, and I just start going through this laundry list of all of these things. So I've literally had like 20 jobs, 30 jobs, like within 37 years. It's sort of silly. And I was talking about how I get bored a lot, and I'm always kind of like trying to learn new things and kind of evolve as a person. And then we started talking about survival of the fittest. Everybody back then, anyways, because the percentages of finishing the AT were very low.
Right.
So it was like, I can't remember what the percentage was, but it was something like only 1 out of 10 people are going to finish the entire AT. And we're talking about it. And I was being a little cocky, and I just come off of racing triathlon for 8 years.
Right.
And I was super fit. And I was like, well, if anybody's going to finish the trail, it's going to be me because I'm in insanely good shape. So because of the whole survival of the fittest thing, and I woke up that morning to leave the shelter, and this couple is like, we got the perfect trail name for you. And I was like, oh yeah, what is it? And they're like, Darwin.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I guess I'll take it. And I guess because of the beard, I had the beard at the time.
Right.
And it stuck. It became like one of the best gifts I've ever gotten on a trail, because most people get like really awful trail names.
Yeah.
Like I know some really horrible, disgusting trail names that like you can't just go by in regular everyday life.
Okay.
And I got lucky that I got one that
it's
like
decent.
literally just sounds like a first name.
Right.
So
that's so funny.
I just went with it. Yeah.
So your icebreaker for like, I'm going to get to know, this could be my trail family here, my tramley. Your icebreaker is, I know I'm going to finish. I'm not so sure about you fools, but I'm going to be the 1 out of this 10.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of people kind of get me wrong sometimes. Like anybody that spent enough time with me knows that I am super, super sarcastic.
Oh, yeah.
About 90% of the things that come out of my mouth are just like me trying to get a rise out of people.
Right.
So, I was just being sarcastic. I was just being a total Weisenheimer, I guess, as they say. Or as my grandma would say.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Can you remember, did any of those people that you're with finished the trail?
Yeah, I think just about all of them.
Oh, okay. The percentage didn't play out. All right.
Well, the funny thing was that year, we only got 1,600 miles in, and my wife and I had to get off the trail and then come back to finish it because, like, I had some health problems, and my wife's grandmother passed away, and a bunch of stuff happened while we were in Massachusetts. So we actually ended up being the ones that didn't, like, had to get off the trail for a while and then come back. So technically, I was not the fittest.
Okay. The irony in that, irony, especially as like, a triathlete, which I mean, triathletes
and I also very much appreciate irony. So
okay, well, whether it works for you or not, but
yeah, why not?
Okay, so let's talk about the adventure stuff. I mean, honestly, so anybody who's backpacked and done any sort of research typically comes across your channel and comes up with, something they're looking up, whether they're researching water filters or something, or one of your documentaries. And that certainly is true for me, where I would watch some of your stuff because I really value thru hikers as really testers of gear. If something holds up throughout a hike that's, thousands of miles long, I feel like my weekend trips or my week-long trips, should easily hold up for those. And anyway, through all of these adventures, through all these trips that you've got under your belt, can you boil down some of the biggest things you've learned, like let's say 3 essential tips or lessons about just creating an awesome adventure in general for those of us who might have through hikes in our future, or just the weekenders or the overnighters or whatever?
Well, I could give like the cliche ones that like everybody gives, but I'll try.
You're not that guy. Come on, you're not that
guy. I do want to touch on something. I do want to say something that you just pointed out, though, that I want to say thank you for. Is you just touched on, a lot of my videos, gear videos and stuff were always, it's funny, a lot of people always associated me with being like the gear guy and like testing all this gear, but right. I just always like to talk about the stuff that I used on through hikes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It was just always interesting to me because like people always associate me with like, oh, well, you're the guy who reviews a bunch of gear. And I'm like, actually, if you go look on my channel, like I basically used the same stuff, like for years and years and years. Right. And I didn't really review a lot of stuff. So thanks for noticing that.
No, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, just to clarify, I just was like paying attention to like, okay, this worked, or your opinion on the item after you'd done a through hike. But honestly, I know a lot of people that connect with your channel that I've heard, or that when I was kind of asking around if anybody had any things that they just always wanted to ask you, a lot of people connected through your documentaries. Like they just really like the stories.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, that was the big one anyway that I heard back from. So
nice.
Anyway, that's beside the point. So
beside the point.
Non-cliche things, essential tips you got.
And I guess my number one, I guess it's not number one, but one of my number one tips is really, I guess, go with it. Like something that I have learned over the years of all the stuff that I've done is just to kind of be open to new experiences. Whenever my wife and I went to go do our first kind of big adventure, if you want to call it that, like our kind of push off to this like big life in the past 8 years of all this travel and stuff that I've done. We did so much research. Like I watched every documentary I could watch on the AT. We read every book. I looked at we obsessed over it for 6 months to like a year. And when I got out there, I remember like walking up to like certain spots and areas and like, I'm like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I know this. Oh, I know. And
did you like that?
No. And it's because like I felt like I had already kind of experienced it, right? Like obviously I was experiencing it my own way. And that's really where like people stuck with me more than anything. And I kind of like really honed in on the community. Mm-hmm. So, what I've learned over the years, and again, I'm kind of devil's advocate here. I don't do a lot of research before I go on an adventure or a hike. I don't read the books. I don't watch people's YouTube videos. I don't kind of obsess over something because I want to be open to a new experience.
Right.
I think a lot about like the things that have stuck with me over 8 years the most and what I remember the most. And they're always the misadventures. They're always the things that I learned while I was out there because I was open to a new experience. It's because I was hitching on the side of the road and some car pulled up and asked me like, hey, you want to come to our weekend barbecue? You want to get off the trail for a couple of days and come to our weekend barbecue and go skydiving with us? That didn't happen to me. That did happen to somebody I was hiking with on the AT though. I wish it would have happened to me. And that's the stuff you really remember because after a while, like it sounds like woe is me, but like, a tree is a tree and a mountain is a mountain and a lake is a lake. And after a while, that stuff kind of all like meshes together. But the stuff you really remember are those moments, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
those new, fresh, exciting moments and meeting somebody for the first time, or something going wrong, or being cold or being hot.
Your tip is can kind of be summed up as like, that Dumb and Dumber quote, just go, man, just go, right? Like, just get out there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely do your research. And like when I'm going to do something, obviously, like I got my gear dialed down, right? Like I
Right.
know that I'm somewhat in shape, and I'll figure it out once I get out there.
So there's two people, and you kind of alluded to this. There's two people that have a hard time with that. So the first one is the person who's afraid, basically, who's afraid of really getting out of their own zone. I know a lot of backpackers, they kind of just stay nearby. They have like this radius around their house, and they're willing to go within, a few hours of their house because that's what they know and that's what's safe to them. But like what you're saying, if you're doing the same old, like you're not going to be generating new or interesting stories, and your experiences are going to be very similar and they're going to blend together.
I think if you're afraid or if you're scared, like you're doing it right. Like, isn't that the whole reason, like you're going to do, like getting out of your 9 to 5 every day anyways? Like, isn't that the reason? Yeah. Isn't that the reason you're walking into the woods in the first place, is like to get out of your comfort zone and try something new? So I guess that's kind of what I mean with like, go with it. Just like take the ride, go on the experience. Like, you'll figure it out. Like, again, unless it's like an unsafe thing, then maybe don't do it.
Right.
Don't blame me.
But the second person, which is what I struggle with, and I've gotten way better over the years, is the person who's the point A to point B person. We have a mission today. We're going to hike X amount of miles. We're going to get from this spot to this spot. And if something happens in between point A and point B to sort of dislodge the trip, like, we're going to ignore it. We're going to do everything we can to just keep pushing forward, even if it's like a little side hike to a waterfall, even if it's just this interesting encounter with a person on the trail. And so now I'm trying to just recognize when these opportunities come up and really just soak them in along the way. And I've gotten better, but it's taken, years to get to that point. And so
have you done any have you done any through hikes? Do you have any through hikes under your belt?
nothing like what you've done, but yeah, I've done the John Muir Trail is the longest one I've done.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I think I recently had a discussion on either my podcast or somebody else's podcast. There is a big difference, like where I want to kind of cut in on that, is there is a big difference between backpacking and through hiking. So I think to a point, you kind of have to be the point A to point B person on a through hike. For years, people would say stuff to me like, why don't you stop and smell the roses?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you hiking so many miles? Like, why did you end up pushing an extra 10 miles into this town? Like, well, sometimes it comes down to like, well, because I'm out of food. I know that if I don't get from point A to point B in 4 days, and I only have, 4 days of food, and I'm out here for 5 days, well, I'm going to be pretty hungry. I'm going to be tired.
Right.
So I do think that some of that plays into that, but I do get what you're saying. I think after a while, being the point A to point B person, it can definitely like wear on the experience. And that's definitely what happened to me over the years.
Yeah.
It's like, I got kind of tired of that. Like, well, I know what I'm doing. I know point A to point B. I kind of want something new, and I want to have a new experience, but
for sure. And honestly, thinking back, I was on a through hike of the Washington section of the PCT, and that didn't go as well. But I got a little ways in, and I kind of ran into this town. I got invited by this kind of old gold miner guy to crash out in his camper for the night, and he was like an old guy, seemed pretty friendly. And so I did do that. That was one where I was like, all right, he's going to take me off the trail, but he's going to drive me back to the trailhead. And so that worked out. And then he ended up cooking me pancake breakfast and talking to me about all the aliens he saw at nighttime. Yeah.
And like, that's an experience that you'll never forget, right? Like, you'll never forget that guy. You'll never forget those stories or those pancakes. And to me, that's why I travel. That's why I go out on adventures, whatever you want to call them.
It's hard for people, but I think it's achievable. I think that, kind of pushing the limits of your comfort zone for sure. Yeah. All right. That was number one. That was a good one. I like that one. What's number two?
One.
No, it was a long one. That's all right. That was good. That was worth it.
Well, number two would probably kind of come off of that. And it would be like, let that experience humble you. Like, get into situations where you're humbled. Something that I've been talking about this for a long time. And if you're familiar with my videos, if you listen to my podcast, you know that I'll talk a lot. Like, when someone's like, what was your favorite hike? I'll always say it was the AT. Right. There's something magical about it. Something magical about that first hike. And I've talked to other hikers about it, that, maybe their first hike was the CDT. Maybe their first hike was the PCT. Maybe their first hike was, fill in the blank. And it's always their favorite one. It's always special to them.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, I wanted to know, like, what is it about that? Like, is it just because it's a new experience? And what is it about that new experience? And what I finally come up with is it's because it humbles you, right? Like, you're going into something and you have no clue what you're doing. You don't know, like, yeah, you might have done your research and you might know that, on the first day, I'm going to hike 15 miles. And on the second day, I'm going to hike 10 miles.
Right.
But you don't really know anything about it. So you're very humbled, because I think that most of us in our regular everyday life, our 9 to 5, I always say the 9 to 5 life. I mean, some people have like a 5 to 11 life or whatever it is, right?
Right.
You get so used to kind of like your everyday life that you're not really experiencing something that's new that kind of wakes you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're going out to do something, like, and it humbles you, and you kind of stop for a second and be like, oh, I have no clue what I'm doing. I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, that is, to me, that is the best thing like that can happen. And that's why, like, I started really doing a lot of world travel over the last year. I was like, I want to look for that again. I want to be humbled. So I think, like, letting it humble you, not, acting like you know what you're talking about, just listening, being open to conversations, like listening to other people's opinions, learning about their background, learning about maybe their religion, maybe their politics, maybe whatever they're into. Bunch of people just like clicked off the video.
I heard the word politics. I don't want to hear anymore.
I think that's what makes, to me, that's what makes life worth living, is like experiencing new things.
Yeah, humility is a very strong characteristic, and really, that's what makes people want to be around you. Is that humility you learn over the years can make you connect with people and appreciate the challenges they're having. Whether it's physical challenges on the trail, your knee hurts, your shoulders hurt, whatever, or whether it's just the mind game of having to do this repetitively for day after day, week after week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's another good one. All right, I like it. So you got two good ones.
Am I going too deep? Is this too deep?
No, we go. We're all over the place on our show. We go deep. We go Derek level answers, and then everywhere in between. So, all right, number 3.
Something I've said for years, and I'll always hold to it, is somehow document your journey. And not because you're going to start a YouTube channel, not because you're going to share it on Instagram or become an influencer or a TikToker or whatever the kids are saying these days, but so you can, you can remember it. I can tell you that over the past 8 years of all the different trails I've hiked and all the different people I've met, after a while, like, all that stuff starts to kind of mush together and mesh together, right?
Right.
The things that I always want to remember, especially, are like the people I meet, the places I go, those misadventures that I have that do humble me. And like, whether it's writing and journaling while you're doing it, or taking photos, like something I've really been big into lately is like portraiture, like something I regret hardcore from 8 years of doing all those hikes. Is like, I took all these photos of like mountains and trees, and it all looks the same. I wish I would have taken photos of people. I wish, the amazing family, the amazing couple that gave me a hitch into a town when I stood out there for 2 hours. I'm starving, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm wet. That picked me up, and I had a great connection with, and a great conversation with. I wish I would have taken their photos so I could look back on that and have that memory and remember that.
100%. Okay, so speaking about documenting and kind of making this content, so you have a podcast, the Outdoor Evolution Podcast, and you started it with episode 1 called You Don't Know Me. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is a very provocative title. And so before I even ask about, kind of more about that concept, I was trying to figure out, when you just type something up, you don't always know the tone of kind of what the intention is behind it. So I want to know the tone. Is this like, you know what? You don't know me. Or is this more like I can't believe you think you know me, because guess what? You really don't know me. Or is this like a darker thing, a lighter thing, somewhere in between? Like, what's the tone of this thing?
That's a good question.
I know it's been a while. That was episode 1. It's been a couple years.
It's been a long
sorry,
time.
I apologize about that.
No, it's cool because it's kind of like led to a lot of things that I've done over the years. At the time, I was definitely like, I'll go on the record of saying like I was dealing with like struggling a lot with my own mental health and stuff. And I just kind of got to the point to where I've mentioned this. Anyone that's listened to other podcasts that I've done or listened to my podcast will know, like I've talked about this a billion times, of like when I got into making media and stuff, like I had no intention of it doing what it was. I was not trying to do it. It's why like when my wife and I went out to do our first hike, it's why I was saying like document your stuff. I didn't film anything. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I didn't even have a Facebook. Like I had nothing when we went out to our first. It was actually the opposite. I got rid of all my stuff because I was like, I'm going to go off and be off the grid and have an adventure in the wilderness and be away from people. And I don't want to be connected to the internet, the internets. And it was, so, I didn't really anticipate any of that happening. And I'm a pretty personable person. I take things to heart. I'm a pretty passionate person, and friendships and stuff mean a lot to me. So over the years of like putting out media and, definitely got to say like out of all feedback and stuff that's come at me over the years, like 99% of it, amazing. People are amazing. People are beautiful. But it's like those 1% that stick with you, or like things that someone will say that'll kind of throw you off a little bit, right? Like you can read 100 amazing comments or 100 amazing things about you. And then you read that one thing, you're like, oh no, what have I done? Like, oh no, I've done something bad.
But the YouTube comments are ridiculous because sometimes they don't even relate, to your content. You're just like, they're like, hey, this really meant a lot to me, or I'm going to go buy such and such product as a result of what you said. And then a comment's like, you're looking a little chunky this episode. Like, what's going on? Like, it doesn't even, like, where's that from?
Well, and that's kind of to my point. It's like, I think some people that get into that world, like they know that going into it, right? Like, like, don't read the comments. They don't mean anything.
Right.
Like I'm here to make some content and become famous and popular and make money. But that was never my intention. I was just like, oh, friends, right? Like, so
that's how I viewed it. That's funny.
So I started taking a lot of that stuff to heart. So I was kind of running into that. I was bumping into that. And then at the same time, like, maybe there'd be a day where I wouldn't have a good day necessarily or a good week. I was going through something and, like I wouldn't have the super happy charm on the video, and people would be like, well, you're not being the Darwin that like I know.
Right.
Like, is everything okay? You're being awfully negative. And so the whole title and that whole episode was kind of tongue in cheek of like, you don't know, like, you don't really know me.
Yeah.
Right. And it was all kind of, at the time, I was sort of disenchanted with the whole YouTube celebrity thing. Right.
But they don't really know you in terms of like, because they don't have that relationship with you. But I think what you were getting at is that my authentic self doesn't quite always match up with the videos that are put out. Like that is me, but there's more to me. That's one side of me. Right.
And it was also more of kind of like an extended conversation that I had with friends for years that kind of did the same thing. Other friends I know that made YouTube videos or had podcasts and stuff like that. Like a lot of people that do this type of stuff struggle with that, right? Of this kind of one-sided relationship happening, where they feel like they're kind of trapped in this box and they can only talk about this one thing or act this certain way. Yeah. It's this kind of strange phenomenon that's kind of happened with social media and videos and podcasts and Instagram, and the list goes on and on and on, of where you're really kind of curating a certain version of your life. But, people are multifaceted. People are multidimensional. I would assume that you don't just like to sit in a room with a wood wall, nice wall, by the way, and do podcasts. Like I won't get off here thinking like, man, I hope that guy's okay just sitting there for like the next handful of days before he does another podcast, because he probably just.
I hope there's a fridge nearby, in a bathroom.
Yeah, or like a pee bottle.
Yeah, at least that. That's
It was more of a kind of a conversation about something that I've just found absolutely fascinating, especially being on that side of it over the years.
Okay.
Like this weird. I don't know if you've ever heard of parasocial disorder.
Okay.
But it's this weird thing like human beings have created over the handful of years of like seeing one side of somebody and then like associating just that with the person.
Yeah.
So that's really what the episode was about, of me just being like, hey, just know that like, one day or 1 week, your favorite creator, your favorite YouTuber or something, might not put out a video, or they might decide to do something different, or they might, stop doing their through hike, or they might go back on, a piece of gear that, not that it's important, but a piece of gear that they said that they really liked,
now,
and now they don't like.
Yeah.
And now they don't. It's because they're human beings.
Right.
They do, they make decisions as human beings, and they're not just one dimensional. They're not one sided. So that's really where I wanted the podcast I wanted to put that episode out, because I wanted to set the tone of the podcast with that.
Gotcha.
Because anyone that's listened to the podcast knows that every episode was more of a deep dive on like a topic that, again, when that episode came out, and when some of those episodes came out and people started first tuning into the podcast, people are like, I don't know what's wrong.
Right.
Like, this is, they're so, and it's like, not really. Like, those are the conversations that I always have with people when I'm out sitting around a campfire at a shelter on the AT, or when I'm out, on a bike tour and I'm sitting outside of a gas station and I run into some other random person. We have deep conversations. We don't talk about gear, and we don't talk about the food that we eat and, what kind of cat hole that we dug.
Right.
We have deeper conversations as human beings. So I was like, well, I want to have those in a podcast form, because I've spent all these years, talking about the piece of gear or the tip or whatever. That's that place for that.
Okay.
I want to have these deeper conversations. So that's really where it all came from.
And obviously the podcast platform lends itself to that. But in listening to that episode, it did challenge me a little bit to think about kind of my own, I guess, the show that we put forth. And I'm like, you know what? Because for me, it is important to be as authentic as possible. And it's very different to be kind of, the one-man band on the video. You're talking, there's nobody responding to you immediately. There's nobody you're having a conversation with. It's just you and it's the camera, versus like I always am talking to somebody. It's not like a one-person show. There's a guest, there's a co-host, whatever. And so I thought, man, do people know me? Like, is that the authentic self that I've put out there? Because we've worked really hard to be like, we still want to be lighthearted and fun with authenticity. And so the hope is that's succeeded. Like, if you were to encounter, somebody that was listening to the show were to encounter me, or to encounter my co-host Derek, they wouldn't be surprised by it, because in the podcast format, like we, especially over like years of podcasts, like you can get a sense of who somebody is for the most part. Like, not, there's always different sides.
For the most part.
Yeah, not 100%.
But I think human beings naturally, like, and everybody does it. I can tell you maybe one person I've ever met in person, one person ever that I've ever met in person that was just like who they portray on a video or a podcast or a photo or something like that. Because I think that everybody wants to like present the best version of themselves, right? As I mentioned, like at the beginning of this, like, I'm a hardcore, like, super sarcastic. Like, I have a really dry sense of humor. I say things sometimes to people, like, just to get a rise out of them.
Right.
And I think that stuff's funny.
Right.
I knew that, like, when I started making videos, like, well, I can't come on screen like that. Everybody will think that I'm a jerk. So, like, I took well, how would I present? It's no different than, like, when you go to work. Who you are at work is not who you are at home.
Correct.
You're a different person because you put on a version of yourself that you want to present to people.
Right.
So I don't think that it's like it's not authentic. Like, it's not. I don't think that it's that you're being not authentic. You're just trying to basically censor yourself in a version of yourself that you want to present to people. I'll never forget years ago, way before I ever went to do the AT, way before I ever even thought about doing a YouTube channel. I mean, this is a long time ago. When I first started getting into watching YouTube, there's a guy, and he still makes videos, called Adam the Woo. You're familiar with him?
I'm not.
Travels around, goes like his big thing was he did like urban exploration. So like he would go into these like abandoned houses and like check them out, or abandoned theme parks and stuff. Super cool. Gotten kicked out of Disney more times than like anybody should have.
He's like, what's around this corner that says employees only?
Right. And he's like this. He had all these piercings and like tattoos all up and down his arms. Total like punk rock. He looked like a dude, like if you ran into him, like, and you said the wrong thing, like he'd get in a fight with you, right? But like he was the nicest, sweetest dude in his videos. He never cursed. He never said anything that was off. He never said anything that would ever offend anybody. And I remember watching this interview with him where the interviewer asked him, like, you look like a much tougher dude than you are. And he's like, well,
That's not a very nice question.
Kind of a
You're
backhanded,
way more of a sissy in real life.
Kind of a backhanded compliment. And they said, he said, well, my biggest influence as being a creative or an entertainer or presenting myself in the world was always Mr. Rogers. And he said that Mr. Rogers was always, when he presented himself to people, whether it was on his show or in person, he always presented himself to be this person that, like, would never have a problem with anybody, that everybody could get along with, and that everybody could, like, retain information and be inspired by. So when I first started doing YouTube videos, I was like, well, what's the whole point of me doing these videos? Well, it's to share information, right? It's to be like, hey, check this piece of gear out. Oh, hey, here's what I did right and here's what I did wrong, or to inspire somebody with, like, trail videos and stuff. So I kind of followed that same path of, like, well, I want to make myself digestible to as many people as possible so I can share that information. I don't ever want to turn anybody off. I don't ever want to offend anybody. I don't ever want to upset anybody. So I think that just kind of comes from, you put a version of yourself on that you want people to see and you want people to, I guess, digest.
So you're the Mr. Rogers of the backpacking world.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
Totally opposite.
Okay. Well, in that episode, speaking of, like the version you put yourself on, what was interesting was you actually shared about some trail encounters you had and people that were finding you out on, I think it was on the PCT, and then they were, like, how's your hike? And then you were responding, and you shared that at first it was super cool that people would recognize you, but after a while, it didn't sit as well with you because, people are, it came across, at least, as people.
When I started talking about that stuff, I was just trying to be honest, again, like trying to be open and trying to be, like, transparent of, like, I had a problem with it. And, like, it's really weird. A lot of people took that the wrong way of, like, you had a problem with it, like, because people know who you are and you're famous, like, oh, poor you. And it's like, well, I wasn't mentally prepared for that. Like, that's not what I was looking for when I did it. And it happened. It literally, like, people will probably argue that to the day that I never exist on the internet again. But I assure all of you, it was all an accident. I never meant to do any of it.
No, we can solve this right now. We can do this right now. Okay, we're going to do a role play. You and I haven't met. I come down the trail and I recognize you. Yeah. And I'm going to be fanboy recognizing you. And then you have to respond with what you would do today. Like, this is a couple years ago you put this episode out. So, like, what's this like today? Are you up for this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. There's a little bit of hesitation in your voice there.
Well, I don't know, because now you put me on the spot, so I don't know what I would say.
Okay. This is pretty low risk here.
Okay.
All right. So you're hiking down the trail. I'm coming up behind you, and I just kind of, like, look to the side, and I see him, like, whoa, Darwin, my man, how's it going?
Hey, man, how's it going? How you doing, bud?
Good. This is like the best day of my life. Like, I watch all your videos. Look at my gear. I've bought this stuff because of you, because of what's in your pack.
How's your hike going?
It's going good now. This is so important. Okay, I know you got to get to wherever you're getting to today. But can I get a selfie with you?
And right there is the awkward turn for me, because here's the thing. Here's the thing that, like, a lot of people won't talk about is because if you say no, you're a jerk, right? But also there's a part of me that feels like if I say yeah, and I'm like, of course you can take a selfie with me, then it makes you seem much more self-important than you actually are. I'm a dude on YouTube talking about, like, backpacks. Like, so to me, it was always an awkward encounter because it was like, why do you want to take a picture? Like, take a picture of the thing that you're doing. Like, you're out here just like I am. Like, we're both on the trail. Look, take a picture of that mountain. Look at that mountain. Isn't that mountain cool? Take a picture of that. I'll take a picture of it too. Or here, let me take a picture of you. And that was more of like a scoping mechanism.
Like, I'm not in your position, but if I was in your position, I would, especially if I was doing a hike where I'm trying to put some miles in, I'm getting stopped here and there, but I also want to build community at the same time. I don't know. I was trying to think of how I would handle the situation.
It's tough, man.
It's tough. And I was thinking, I don't know if this is even appropriate. Like, you could speak to this. I would try to just say, hey, why don't you hike with me for a little bit, if you can keep up, and we'll take a shot as we're going.
I like that little like, if you can keep up.
By the way, I was a triathlete, and I'm 1 in 10 that's going to finish this trail, so try to keep up.
My approach, 100%.
I just was thinking through that, and yeah, again, I'm not in your shoes, and so that's why I just found it fascinating. So, okay, you've got a gear company named Evolved Supply Co. You're selling backpacking gear.
All kinds of gear. I got show and tell items here.
Oh, do you? Okay, all right. My question is going to be very different than what we're about to talk about. But as I was processing through that, like it made me think of something that, like, it made me interested in your perspective on this, because you've got a gear company, and at least, you know, from what I was gathering from your website, it looks like it's doing pretty well because you can't keep up with the orders, and the orders are so far out.
We're a small company, bro.
Okay.
We keep getting emails from people like, why is your lead time so long? It's like, because there's two of us.
I just assumed it was because you're doing so well.
Well, I mean, we're doing well as well, but
Okay.
also, like, I mean, it's when you only got two
For
people
sure.
doing it.
For sure. Small company. Okay. But still a company. And so in the past, like, you've been very vocal about the gear that you use from people that are sending you gear, that, that they're not sponsoring you. You send the gear back. You don't want to, I guess, be influenced by the companies. And so you're very vocal about, like, this is the appropriate thing to do so that I'm not sort of compromised. Has that perspective changed at all in terms of, like, trying to get your own company name out there, or kind of how that's going to work? Or is it the same tune?
Well, the perspective changed a little bit because I did get to the point, I'll be totally transparent, that I was like, well, I did that for so many years, but in the grand scheme of things, nobody really cared but me.
Okay.
Because I'm a really, like, pride-driven person.
No, it's like an integrity thing. You're trying to have integrity, right?
It is, but, like, when your integrity only matters, like, whenever it only really matters to you, it doesn't matter to anybody else.
Okay.
There's a lot of, I never wanted to help sell something I didn't 100% believe in.
Okay.
And I didn't, I wouldn't buy and use myself. So that's really where a lot of that came from, is like, well, I'm not going to, if I wouldn't buy it myself and pay full price for it, I don't want to sell it to people. Right.
Fair.
There's a lot of people on YouTube, that just constantly, like, here's 18 sleeping pads, and this one's great, and this one's great, and this one's great. Right. Like, that was never me. I never did that, which is funny. Again, kind of going back to real early on when we first started the podcast, like, I get put in that realm of, like, well, you were the gear review guy. And I'm like, not really. Like, I use the same, like, I say sleeping pad because I literally use the same sleeping pad for, like, I don't know, 3-4 of my through hikes, and never tried anything different. I still use the same pad today.
Right.
And, I never wanted to be a salesman. I wanted to talk about the things that I loved, or the things I was excited about, or the things that I wanted. So if a company sent me something and there was, like, this incentive of, like, here, talk about this, and we'll give you X amount of dollars, or we'll do this for you, or we'll do that or that. It's like, well, then it's not really something I'm not talking about it because I believe in it or I care about it. I'm being influenced. And some people will say, like, well, I don't let the company influence me. I don't 100% believe that. I think that, if somebody gives you something and then pays you something to talk about it, you're definitely not going to go on there and be like, I hate this, and it's the worst thing I've ever used.
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's been products that we've gotten and then we're like, yeah, we can't talk about this. This is junk. Like, we've had that.
Yeah. And I've done that too. I've told people that for years, is like, I've gotten a lot of stuff. Like, early on, I did take stuff from people. I never took, I never let anybody pay me. So that was the thing, is I never let anybody sponsor my videos or pay me. Anytime someone would reach out to me and be like, hey, I got this product, I'd love to send it to you and get your opinion. My response, I literally had, like, a copy and paste response. I was like, you are more than welcome to send me whatever you'd like. Just know it doesn't guarantee that I'll talk about it. I'll feature it in a video. I'll take a photo of it. I'll say anything positive or negative about it. And again, like, I was never down for, like, reviewing stuff just to review it, like, just to make content. I was more like, oh, well, I'm going to talk about this thing because I've used it over thousands of miles, or I want to use this over thousands of miles, and maybe somebody else is going to use something over thousands of miles. I'm going to share that. That's where I always came from. So I always wanted to, tell people that, like, it's all subjective. Like, a hyperlight pack not working for you doesn't mean anything to somebody that can put it on. It's the most comfortable thing they ever put on their body, right? And likewise, like, I own a gear company now. Like, I know that, this backpack, show and tell.
Here it is. Yeah,
This
what you got? Backpack. Okay.
is not for everybody, right? Like it's, is it the perfect backpack? Well, for me, it is. Why? Well, number one, I designed it, but is it the perfect backpack for you? Well, I don't know. So I'm not going to tell you it is.
I want to check it out. Okay, so you got your backpack, and that's
the Ranger is what it's called.
It looks like it matches what you're wearing. Actually, that's really impressive. Your shirt,
branding, sir. That's number one branding right there.
Okay, and I think wasn't it a la carte? Like you could have the core pack. You could get the hip belt separately. There's like Y straps. Isn't that how you had it structured?
So when we did the pack, I wanted to make a super like modular pack. Something that's drove me nuts for years is I've had like multiple packs for multiple different trips because I like doing the ultralight through hike where I only want something like a 35 liter pack. I don't want to carry a lot. I don't want a hip belt. But I mean, there's other times I live in Arizona. Like the Grand Canyon is 45 minutes away from here. Like I might want to go do a night in the canyon where I'm going to have to carry more water. I'm going to have to carry more food. Right. So for something like that, I need a little bit more literage. I need a hip belt, stuff like that. Right. And living out of a van for years, like space is limited. I want one thing that I can kind of trade parts on and off and use for just about everything. So that's kind of where the whole idea really behind everything that we started doing for Evolved came from, is I wanted to make modular gear. I wanted to make stuff that it's something that's very important to me. Most of my gear lists that people will go see, like I'll talk about something that'll be like, well, I can use it for this, and then I can use it for this, and I can use it for this. I cannot stand. The only reason I was ever ultra light, hardcore quotes on that, because man, that term gets thrown around way too much. Is because of simplicity.
Right.
It wasn't because I wanted to be light and fast. It was because like I don't like messing with a lot of crap.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the biggest issue is like that's why people take so long to pack up. They got so much stuff.
Some people carry like the little battery powered air pump that I've seen that a lot lately.
Right.
That's awesome. Me, it's an extra little thing that would just annoy me to try to like, where did I put that? Is it in this part of my pack? And
no, it's not. But it's not even like it's like that's one thing. But then you have little doodad for this and this, and before you know it, you got junk everywhere. Even if you bag it up well, you still got to throw it in the bag. And it's
So I love items that are you can get multiple uses out of. I'm a big fan of stuff like that. So when we designed this, I wanted it to be if most people that get on the website get confused because we call it a 35 to 40 liter. And most people are like, well, what's that? Is it a 35 or is it a 40? Technically, it's a 40 liter pack. But the reason we said 35 to 40 was the pack was built around the whole 35 liter pack mentality, right? Which has kind of become over the years, it's become my perfect through hiking pack. 35 liters, about perfect for me. So it rolled all the way down like it is now, 35 liter pack. But we put an extended collar on it, a really extra long collar on it. So that way you could take it, roll it out, and still get 2 rolls on it. And it's about 40 liters of a pack. So again, if I'm going to go do something like a really light hike or a through hike where I want to go really minimal, it can be that pack. I take the hip belt off. I take the Y strap off. It's a single leash over the top. It's that pack. But if I'm going to go do a hike in the canyon, I can put a padded hip belt on it. I can put the detachable Y strap on it. I can roll it all the way out and boom, I got a 40 liter pack that can carry a little more weight. That's a little more comfortable. So that was kind of the whole thought process behind the pack. So yeah, to your question, we offer the pack in a complete version that comes with the hip belt, 2 shoulder pockets, the Y strap. We even throw in a pack liner, like an Alifume liner. And, you can take it and then strip it down however you want to, customize it however you want to, or you can get the pack completely stripped down without all the extra doodads and features. So,
okay. So I don't know if it's fair to say, like kind of wrapping this up. I don't know if it's fair to say like you're back. I mean, you didn't fully leave YouTube, but
no, I never did.
Sounds like
that's the thing. I always said that I'd be back if I had something to share, something to talk about.
Right.
It took me a while.
So what do we have to look forward to on your channel in 2023, and just in general, any content you're making that we should be looking forward to that you haven't mentioned already? What do we got going on?
Yeah. So number one, the thing that's been taking up the most of my time is, like I said, I've been working on a documentary film with the good folks at Sawyer, the water filter that everybody's familiar with, and Jennifer Farr Davis. If you don't know who Jennifer Farr Davis is and you're in the backpacking world, come on, folks. Shot over to Fiji last year with them in May. May to shoot a documentary film about the work that Sawyer's been doing around the world for the past 15 years. But a lot of that started in Fiji, is when they first started doing that, installing filters in remote parts of countries to bring clean water from border to border in countries around the world. Okay. Awesome company. I cannot say enough amazing things about them. Just beautiful, beautiful people. Fantastic. Support Sawyer. I will totally advertise them as much as possible.
Buy their filters, not the snakebite kit. That's what I say.
No snakebite kit. Their permetherin's really good too.
Okay. Yeah. That's a whole other story. Sorry, I don't know. Keep going. Keep going. It's not about the snakebite kit.
So that's the big thing I've been working on. And that film is going to premiere next month at AT Days. I'll be out there with Evolve Supply Co. We'll be premiering a film. I'll be out there with my good buddy, Benny Braden, for responsible stewardship, promoting public lands and giving back to public lands. But as far as the channel goes, some of the stuff I'm working on once I get this big project out of the way is I'm going to start doing more short films. For anybody that was really into my videos over the last handful of years, right there towards the end, you'll notice I kind of stopped doing, it was kind of like less vlogging. It was more trying to tell a story, more narrative, doing voiceover work, stuff like that. So I'm a filmmaker. It's something I've been doing off YouTube for the past like 3-4 years. So I want to start sharing more short films on some of the adventures that I plan on doing this year. So this year I'm going to go out for a big section of the AT next month because I'm going to be out there. So I might as well. In July, I'm actually headed to Switzerland for a week to hike and hang out with a friend that I finished the PCT with back in 2018. And then I'm going to be doing, the Tour de Mont Blanc. I'm going to be doing the Tour de Mont Blanc.
I just watched a video on that one, actually.
And filming all of that and, creating a short film off of that. Hopefully in August, I'm going to be heading out to PCT days to do all the same stuff. And I'm going to go hike a big section of the PCT again. Haven't been on the PCT since 2018. So I've been dying to get back out there. Around putting out a bunch of content from adventures and trying to inspire people and show them some stuff, I'm gonna start doing a bunch of content again, but less of like just reviewing a general piece of gear. I more want to talk about the stuff that I use on the adventure. So gear videos, gear lists, but also where I'm incorporating, cameras, stuff that I use to help tell a story. Bike stuff, backpacking stuff, kind of a little bit of everything. So,
and we'll start, we're happy to link what you already have going on, and you'll have to kind of reach back out to us once things are more available, whether you put it on Amazon or wherever, whether it's just your regular YouTube channel, and we'll definitely pump it up. Happy to support whoever comes on our show. So Darwin, man, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been an awesome conversation, and we dug into so many things, and I even asked you some uncomfortable things, and you just roll with it, and so I so appreciate your time.
I like rambling. I'm a storyteller. I like talking. I appreciate you having me, bud.
All right, my friend. So you missed this interview again, but what'd you think?
I think there's a lot of takeaways. I think you, some things that stuck out were like, he made some good points about the, humility makes people want to be around you. And, I think sometimes like when you are, constantly talking about yourself, I think it's kind of deterring if people want to be around you. So you can relate with that, obviously. So
I can relate where people want to be around me, or you can relate because you're so lonely.
I like that you spun that really. That was good. You're getting good at that. That was good. But no, the whole thing about like being a celebrity, I can't handle the people wanting the autographs and all that stuff. I think for me, I'm like, look. If you're gonna jump on YouTube, we all start from ground zero, right? We all start on any platform, Instagram, TikTok, all. You all start from ground zero. But like, this is the way people are becoming celebrities quick nowadays. Like this, it's not like you just got to be on TV to be a celebrity. So, there's people that I don't know who they are, but they got 20 million followers on Instagram or whatever. So. You're going to get noticed. So,
not everybody, we're not noticed, so we're not celebrities.
But what I'm saying is like, you don't know when you might like hit that boom. Like we might be cool right now, but then maybe in a year it's like, boom, 200K. And a lot of people know who you are on the trail and all this other stuff.
Do you want that, Derek? Be honest. Like,
if it happens, it happens. Look, if it happens, it happens.
For sure. And if it happens, I'm sure you'll handle it great. But my question is, do you want it?
I don't crave it.
Okay.
It'd be a bonus.
I think you kind of need it. I think you want more friends, and you want friends to admire you.
I think you have expressed many times you're a loner, and you like to do trips with brand new people to get new friends. I get it. It's totally fine. You gave out a big fanboy vibe. Like in the beginning, I loved your fanboy vibe. It was just like Mr. Darwin. Your whole like thing when you did the fanboy interpretation later on in the episode. You're like, okay,
interpretation.
Yeah, you're like, if I'm on the trail and I'm like super excited to see you. I'm like, wow.
No, you're missing. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. That's not what that was at all.
You weren't a fanboy on that? You were pretending to be a fanboy.
That was something that's been brought up multiple times on his podcast. I'm not sure if it's on his YouTube channel where like he has these awkward encounters with people and he doesn't know how to handle it. But now we're like a couple years down the road and I was like, well, how are you going to handle it now?
Yeah. No, I know. What I'm pointing out is...
I was playing the fanboy. I was playing the role of that, but I wasn't the actual... Okay.
No, I know that. I'm saying your role of that was pretty funny because I was like, wow, I would probably run away if I saw that fanboy on the trail. But I see. But your point was made. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, if you want a selfie and it's like kind of awkward, but I'm like, you're a big deal. You're a celebrity. If somebody asked for your selfie on the trail, what would you do? You'd be like, absolutely.
Me? Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Carl Manderley.
It usually goes the other way. I usually like find random hikers. I'm like, can we take a selfie?
Yeah.
But
I mean, and then there's the thing. I liked actually kind of what he said about the I don't really do a lot of research when I watch. Before I go on a trip, maybe I'm not doing as much research as I should. Maybe I'm not watching videos. Maybe I'm not getting all the intel. I think there's some, in general, I think it might be wise to like check a map and like kind of get an idea of what you're doing. But I liked his mentality of like, I just want to get out there and have this experience and not like oversaturate myself before I go over there, Right. So I thought there was some value in that. I thought that was pretty cool. But your whole, we're going to have to dive into your whole pancake alien guy story. That was really interesting. I don't remember hearing that story.
I feel like have I not shared that?
I don't know, but that was weird. But
I don't know.
You could have got abducted or killed, but whatever. It's fine if it's for pancakes. I mean, no big deal.
It's worth the risk for pancakes.
Yeah.
But, that was okay.
But overall, it was good. I mean, I thought it was cool that he was saying, in his experience, like, the things that you remember are the things that kind of, go awry, essentially. So, and I think
and I was thinking of you when he was saying that.
Yeah, we were talking about that a lot. So,
for sure.
I would agree with that. But,
So let me hit on a couple things, first of all. So, the fanboy thing at the beginning, like, I'm just trying to pump him up and, like, welcome to the show. If I came across as fanboy, that's not my intention.
No, it was funny. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, not at all. So, anyway. The YouTube version of this episode has more of the gear that his company is pumping out, and so it's kind of more of a show and tell. It didn't play well on the audio version, so if you want to take a look at that, you can click over to the YouTube version and check that out.
So you made a point too. I was going to say this before I forgot. You made a point too about being like an A to B mentality. Do you feel like you've come a long way from your A to B mentality?
Well, let me ask you. You're on the same trips with me. Have I come a long way?
You see how we spun that, folks? It was supposed to be a self-reflective moment.
I already was self-reflective. I said that in the interview. Now it's your turn to judge me.
Oh, if I'm judging, okay, that's totally different. So for the A to B, I mean, I want to say I feel like you've loosened up. You're not as like gung-ho as like, okay, guys. There's been mornings on the trips where you're like, okay, guys, we got like 15 miles to do today. We got to get going. We got to get out of it,
Right.
And I think you've just kind of like, part of you, not all of you, but part of you is just like, thrown in the mental towel of like, what, these guys are going to sleep until 10. They're going to friggin' have breakfast till 11:30. I'm just going to leave early and they can catch up. They want to catch up. It's cool. So
I haven't done that yet. I've not done that.
You have what? Left early?
Yeah.
From campsite, you haven't left early.
We've broken up into two separate groups before, but I haven't said like, all right, you guys are still just lounging. See you later. I haven't done that.
Not like a jerk off like that, but like we've separated.
No, do people that are just sleeping in and taking forever to pack up, you think I'm the one being the jerk in that situation? Like,
no. I'm not saying you're being a jerk. I'm saying you're not being a jerk off. I'm saying they're being what they're being. And I think you can you fight it less.
In terms of self-reflection, I spend a lot of time on the trip standing around waiting, like a lot. I'm packed, ready to go. I'm standing around waiting. And so I think that, I'll probably be more of the like, hey, we're, try to catch up. We'll take a long lunch break and get your stuff together. Because I think people are going to end up packing up faster when they see the others have left camp, right?
Right.
Yeah. So there's going to be more of that coming up for sure. And I'm just not, you and I, we don't sleep in forever. we don't wake up really early either. We're just kind of somewhere in the middle. We just get up and we go. We don't have to spend forever. So
Yeah.
I imagine you and I will be hiking together as a result.
But we pack quicker than others. I think some people like
sure.
to unload every night and every morning. And
Let's get back to some of the comments that came out as interview though before we jump into like some So is he the Mr. Rogers of the backpacking world, as I accused?
Mr. Rogers of the backpacking world. I mean, I think we all can strive to be like Mr. Rogers. I don't know if anybody.
I don't want to be Mr. Rogers.
What are you talking about? Mr. Rogers is awesome.
He's a nice guy, yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if I know him well enough to say that, but he seemed very nice, but I don't know if he's.
I don't think so. I just thought it was funny.
What is he, more of like a Loki on the trail, or like a Thor? What Marvel character would he be on the trail? Let's play a game.
Is hilarious. Let's play the game. All right, I'll follow up with that. Can Darwin on the trail change his trail name to Loki?
Were you offended by his evolutionary name?
Why would I be offended by that?
I'm just making sure. I don't know if you're weird by that.
Some people are weird by that.
I know. I'm just checking to see.
People that name themselves actually or get trail names like that. He didn't name himself. People that get trail names like that are not challenging my belief in God whatsoever. So
okay, good.
If you put stickers on the back of your cars where like there's the fish or the other animal eating the fish or something eating that or truth eating that animal, like you can win the sticker game. It's not about the stickers, folks. Yeah.
What would your trail name be though? Did we talk about this? I feel like.
No, we're reflecting about the Darwin interview. We're not talking about
what you're
going to do in camp and how you pack up fast or what my trail name is. So
just made me think.
Stop it.
Soft serve, Carl. Soft serve shoulders, Carl. I don't know. Something.
All right, let's. Okay, the last thing I had was at the very end. I don't know if he caught it, but he called me Bud at the end. Hey, Bud. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that. At the very end. How did he say it? I don't think I heard that.
I didn't write down the quote exactly, but it was an endearing way, maybe in a friendly way. Do you think he wants to go backpacking with me? Should we invite him?
No, he does not.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
He thought you were in a wood cabin. You know, he thought you were in a wood
because
cabin.
of the YouTube backdrop. Yeah,
clearly
might have.
It's so realistic. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, it's not always easy to get the people that are in high demand, such as Darwin. So Darwin, we really appreciate the fact that you were on the show, and man, yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
So as a famous YouTuber, I've got YouTube trivia coming up for you right after this. Out on the trail, capability isn't optional, it's essential. That's why I'm using Case knives. Built for whatever comes your way, these knives have been trusted for more than 100 years. On the job, in the wild, and even to the moon. Made with craftsmanship in Bradford, Pennsylvania, every Case knife is a piece of American grit you can count on. Whether you're splitting kindling, cutting paracord, or just cutting up some tape to take care of a blister. Case knives, every day capable. The trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Rowan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Rowan uses rock-solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie-cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure. YouTube trivia. I don't know if this is easy or hard. I feel like it's easy. I don't know. So I think it is, but you always complain, so we'll find out. Number one. Get 2 out of 3. Number 1. What is the most watched video on YouTube?
Ooh, most watched video.
Yeah, I got multiple choice. Is it A, Baby Shark Dance?
Oh, yeah.
B, Charlie Bit My Finger. C, Monster Mash by Mr. Beast.
Okay.
D, How to Find a Sasquatch by Backpacking and Blisters.
Oh, it's got to be D, right? I'm going to say it's either Mr. Beast or the first. I'm going to say Baby Shark.
Baby Shark Dance is correct.
Yes.
It's like 12 billion or something.
Yes.
Monster Mash is just like I just made that up. I don't even know.
Sounded ridiculous.
Means, yeah. So I didn't check what Charlie Bit My Finger was at, but that's That's legendary.
That
as
is
well.
legendary.
So,
What was Mr. Beast? Was Mr. Beast up there?
I mean, he's the most famous or most popular YouTuber out there. I don't know what his videos are. I don't watch him. Sorry.
He's got some cool stuff. Yeah, it's pretty rad.
I couldn't even tell you what his stuff's about. That's
He
where
like
I'm at.
went and he went and bought LASIK surgery for like this whole village one time, and just they all got LASIK surgery like right there. It was pretty rad. It was pretty sweet.
I think I heard that one.
Yeah, he does some rad stuff. Okay. What's next?
All right, number 2.
What do we got?
Besides Darwin, can you name 3 backpacking YouTubers?
Backpacking YouTubers. We got
YouTubers that specialize in the backpacking genre.
we have Dan Becker. We have
This one.
Justin Outdoors. We have Jesse the Villain.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you'd struggle more with that.
Carl
Can you name-
Mandrioli.
Can you name any more?
Carl Mandrioli.
I was technically teamed up with you, so not solo.
Mission fulfilled.
Okay.
3 for 3.
All right. You won. You got this trivia, but let's ask the last question just for fun.
Fine.
We are approaching 1,000 subscribers if we've not gotten there already.
Whoa.
What did we say we'd do when we hit that goal?
Throw you in a cold lake.
I would take that. I will take that. No.
What did we? You probably wrote it down. Ice
I
cream.
just remembered it because it was important to me.
I don't even care. This is
No, you don't.
This is
I know you don't. You're being sarcastic.
This is stupid.
But truthful at the same time.
What is it? What was it? Remind me.
Okay, so you missed this one. You got 2 out of 3. We said we were going to do a live show.
Oh, a live show. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On YouTube. And so I'm guessing mid to late June, we'll
Sure.
have something lined up.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I'm in.
Okay. All right. And we'll have more information about that later, but we're almost there. We are, yeah. So that's all I got.
That's all you got? That's all I got. Guys, we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to check out Darwin. Check us out on all the social media handles at backpackingblizzards.com. Backpackingblizzardspodcast.com, I should say. And we will see you next time. Remember, guys, if you need a friend, just call Carl Bud. Yeah, we were on the trail. Again, like how many times I have to go over this? Like, you know, I go into Carl's bag when he's sleeping to steal some food because we like to mooch. And I'm like looking through he has a separate colorful velvet bag. It says candy on it. And I open it up. What's in there? Nothing but Snickers.